Hello everybody, welcome back to another art video with Faith and Family Homeschoolers. Today we're going to be doing lesson 32 in the art pad, which is the Shattered Value project. All you need for this project are paper, pencil, and eraser. If you have some shading pencils and would like to use those, I would definitely recommend them for this project, but they are not required. In this tutorial, all I'm using is a standard number 2 pencil. To start, I just traced my hand, but all you guys need to do is to draw any simple shape that you want. That can be something we've already used in the art pad, like I have the image of a dolphin, but I just traced my hand to make it a little more unique. And then you just want to lay some shapes over the top of it, but you don't want to make them too complicated. I would suggest using circles or lines or just simple waves and shapes like that. Nothing too crazy, because every little overlap that we're going to have is going to be shaded differently from the next. So it's just going to create a lot more work on your part if you do more complicated lines on top of it. This is another one of those projects that's going to feel very repetitive and might get a little bit long, but your end result is going to be so worth it because it looks super cool once you're finished. And all I need to do for this entire project is shade a value from dark to light in each different little section that I've made with my image that I made myself and with those lines I put over top of it. When I do my shading, I'm just going to pick one edge that I want to have the darkness start at, and then I'm going to shade that as dark as I can get it, and then I'm going to gradually fade it into a lighter shade so there's almost no pencil marks on the other end of it. And you can pick any side you want, just be conscious of where you're putting them in relation to the other shapes that you have around, just because we don't want all of those darknesses starting at the same spot on shapes that are right next to each other, because it'll kind of ruin the look of the final image. I also found it a little easier when doing this project to start shading the areas that are a little bit smaller. Like you'll notice I didn't go for that big circle right away at the top, I went for these smaller marks on my hand. That just helps me to get a feel for what I'm doing before I start to embark on some gigantic piece of the paper, and I can just practice with a small area first. I really want to encourage you guys to be super patient with this project, because I know it can get a little bit tedious, and sometimes you might have to just take a break and step away from it for a couple of minutes, but it looks so good once you're finished with all of your shading, and it looks really cool to see all of these different values on top of the image you picked. One technique for this project to make your values fade a little more nicely into each other is just to take your finger and rub very gently on your paper from the pencil marks to the areas where there aren't so much. That just creates a very smooth blend from the dark to the light. When you're doing these smudges with your finger, you want to make sure not to press too hard with them. You want to apply a little bit of pressure, but you don't really want to dig that lead into the paper, because if you do make a mistake or if you simply don't like something, it's going to be a little bit harder to erase it, and sometimes you won't be able to get it come off if you push it into the paper too hard. Here's an example of what I was talking about a little bit earlier when I said we want to be conscious of where we start the darkness in each of these different sections. For this little layer I'm doing right now, I started the darkness at the top, so it would be away from that section below it. That just helps to create a look of more values rather than just one larger chunk. As I said before, this is another one of those projects where we just repeat the same technique in these different sections many times throughout the project. So in a bit, I'm going to just skip ahead to when I'm about halfway done with it so you can get a feel for what it's going to start to look like. Although we're all using the same sort of technique for this project, all of your images are going to look a little bit different from each other, just from you choosing your own images and your own types of lines to put over top of it. So I really want to encourage you to be as original as you can with this project. This is about my halfway point right here, and it did take me quite a while to get here. So again, I just want to encourage you guys to be patient. I know it takes quite a long time. It did take me a while to do this project, and it is a 2-week project, so keep that in mind as well. You will have plenty of time to do this, so there's no need to rush, but it will look so much better if you truly take the time to make sure every section looks the way you want it to. That's about all we have for this tutorial, so I'm going to cut the video here in a second, but I hope you guys enjoy this project and truly take your time and appreciate the value of using these different techniques.